Here on Cooking with Styles, we do a lot of stuff for lunch and dinner, but how about breakfast? Take a look at that. A baby Dutch pancake. Pretty much like a crepe, and it's really easy. Let's get cooking with Styles. With these baby Dutch pancakes, it's a little bit different than normal pancakes. We're going to use our eggs that are at room temperature, and we're going to mix the ingredients separately. We're going to mix the wet ingredients, and then we're going to add the dry ingredients to that. So we give a nice whisk to those eggs. If you have an electric mixer, you can use that too. The difference between this and pancakes as well is we want the batter to be nice and creamy. This is my milk. I'm using whole milk. You can use 2% or heavy cream, but I'm using whole milk. It really seems to work best that way. All right, to this, I'm going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla. I would highly recommend, and if a little spills over, it's that much better. I would highly recommend using real vanilla extract. It really does make a difference. All right, so now for the dry ingredients. We're gonna take our sifter, or in this case, my pasta strainer, and I'm gonna put my flour in there. We're gonna take a tablespoon of sugar, and we're gonna put that in with the flour, and then we're gonna take a healthy pinch, or about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna mix that in like so. There we go. And now we're gonna mix this all together. Now, what we're trying to do here is to really incorporate this super well. And one of the things I want you to do too, you can see how it's already kind of getting creamy there, is really make sure you incorporate this so all the lumps are out of it. And using a little whisk like this or a mixer is really important to get that all mixed in. Now, unlike pancakes that we make at home, we're gonna set this batter aside for about 15 minutes, and then we'll make the Dutch oven, or the Dutch pancake. All right, our baby Dutch batter is done, and we're gonna do one last thing. I'm going to incorporate a little bit of melted butter, not hot, but just melted, and that's about 2 tablespoons. I'll save the other tablespoons for the pan, which we're gonna pull out of the oven right now. 425 degrees. I've had the pan in there for about 10 minutes. Notice I'm using a hot pad. We really wanna be sure that we pay attention to that because this thing is ultra hot. Get that in. Again, this is super hot, so be very careful. Swirl it up on the sides like this. Take your batter, in it goes. Okay. Like so, get all of it out of there. We're gonna pop this back in the oven, which is at 425. Now swirl this up around the sides because that's how we're gonna get it to stick and be nice and puffy. So in we go to our 425 degree oven, and we'll check it in about 15 minutes. Let's make the syrup. We've got a little bit of butter here, 2 tablespoons. I've got about 1/3 of a cup of white sugar, and we're just going to incorporate that, let that butter and sugar melt and start to come together. This will take about a minute, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. All right, this sugar and butter have come together. It's kind of a nice white creaminess. To that, I'm going to add some orange marmalade, and then I'm going to add some orange juice, and then we're going to reduce this by about 1/3, and that'll be the sauce for the Dutch pancake. The sauce is perfect right now. You can see how I have a nice simmer on it, and then look at the thickness on that. See, that's a nice syrup. So we'll go with that. We'll pull it off the heat, and it'll tighten up a little more. Oh, this turned out absolutely perfect. Take a look at that. That is fantastic. Now this is a serving for 2. Let's finish this up. I've got some beautiful strawberries and blueberries here. We're just gonna sprinkle those over the top and in the center like so. All right, just maybe a little bit more because Molly likes lots of fruit. Remember, this handle is hot, 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 so be very careful. Now for that beautiful little orange syrup that we made with the marmalade, we're just gonna drizzle that right over the top, get it over the fruit. And I made a little extra, because if you're gonna go to all the trouble, you might as well make a little bit extra. And now to finish it off, right out of the restaurant, huh? How's that look? Does that look good? So there's your baby Dutch pancake. nice crispy around the edge, fruit. It's almost like a crepe, but it's Dutch. If you like this recipe and all the ones we're making on Cooking with Styles, go to cbs8.com and enjoy.